flower folks, welcome to Share Inspirations. In today's video we are going to be talking all about dahlias. We're going to discuss how to grow, fertilize, harvest, and vase life tips about dahlias. These ones that you're seeing here are called Optical Illusion Dahlia. These are in their second year, and I grew these from tubers 2 years ago. They continue to multiply for me, and I'll show you how many plants I have. You notice there's buds on these, and back there as well. Now, something to keep in mind is if you are zone 8 and beyond, these are going to be okay left in the ground. However, if you are in a cooler area, zone 7 and below, you would probably want to dig up the bulbs and store them in a cool, dry place. Now, there's plenty of videos that show how to take out the bad tubers and only start with one tuber each, and that way you have a big harvest the following year, or you could just keep them as a clump and go with that. But certainly if you are below zone 8, you would probably want to dig them up and store them. If you are zone 8 and beyond, you can either mulch them. I personally don't mulch or anything. I'm not a mulcher. I like my plants dividing on their own. These are going to go out on the first frost, which for me here in the high desert of Southern California, zone 8B, is about the second week of November, around 8th or 9th of November, around the same year every year. These start to come up around March time frame when it gets warmed up, and remain dormant after first frost. They're going to just turn black, and you would cut them all the way down and just let them be, leave them alone. Plant a crop cover on top of that, or an annual like snapdragon around it, so that way when the snapdragon is still flowering, these guys will have room to come up on their own in the back. So plant them in a place where you can hide them with something else if you plan on leaving them in the ground. If you want to grow them every year from the tubers that you're pulling up, then it doesn't really matter because you're planting them where you want them. Now, number 2 is fertilizing. I only fertilize in the growing season, and I fertilize with tea and coffee, used tea and coffee waste. And what I do is once a month I would come out with a spoon, and I would show you. Right there. This is what I would do to all the plants. Give them about 1 teaspoon or tablespoon each, and just water on top like that. One more. I think the camera was shaking. Here we go. So taking it in like this and going ahead and dropping it near the root system. This is how I fertilize. If you don't do tea and coffee fertilizers, you can of course do NPK, the general fertilizer. I do suggest that you get an all organic one if you have access to it. If not, I have grown them without any fertilizers, and they seem to do just fine. So that was fertilizing. Now harvesting. This right here is a little too late. I have them in a few different stages. Right here where you can see pollen, and the flower at the bottom has burned. Even though that it has a bud right here, I'm not going to worry about it, and I am going to go ahead and give this a deep cut so it does not do This is where I'm going to cut it, right around there. Right there is where I'm cutting it. Okay, now it was going to leave the plant with just a little bit of greenery, and what this is going to do is going to signal the plant to go and put more flowers. Now we have another one. See, for this right here, you can still put it in the vase and get about a day or so out of it, but this is usually just a pruning thing for me. I could have deadheaded just this flower, but I don't like doing that because it gives me a good long stem and it pinches the plant at the same time, because dahlias is one of those plants that are cut and come again. The more you harvest, the more you're going to be able to harvest. Now this one right here is in very good condition, and this one would give about 5 days of vase life, versus if you see the other one, same thing, it's a little burned, less damage than the other one, but it would still give maybe 2 or 3 days max. And I have this tall stem that I'm going to go ahead and give a deep cut to. Right there. And this, of course, is the ideal state to go ahead and harvest, because this is going to give you about 5 days of vase life. Now, something to keep in mind is not all dahlias are created equal. Some dahlias will actually give you about 7 to 10 days of vase life, versus these ones that are called optical illusion dahlias. I also have karma dahlias. Those are not yet ready to flower, but those ones will give me about 7 to 10 days. So something to keep in mind is not all dahlias are created equal. And in about 2 weeks or so, I'd probably be harvesting these, and I would go ahead and give it a deep cut right there. And that's what I recommend doing instead of just deadheading this top. Yes, you do have, you know, the little guys here and here, but it benefits the plant in the long run in producing more flowers versus just dealing with a couple of buds that are there already. And if you are growing for non-cut flowers, then definitely put a stake, like a bamboo stick, and that will help from wilting, because they do get very top heavy, as you can see, with 2 flowers. And if I had let it go, it has another one right here, it has a bud right there. So because I didn't do that, I now have a long enough stem. Dahlia, these ones, the buds, also make great cut flowers too. If you are just looking for foliage and you're wanting to give your plant a deep pinching, this is how I pinch and do my harvesting, fertilizing, and growing along with vase life tips. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.